Hey guys, Carl Cooper here with On the Black with my weekly chat with Dave Doyle of Mets Report. How you doing, Dave?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So we got the rubber match against the Astros today. Hopefully we can pull it out. But I want to really start with yesterday and R.A. Dickey didn't pitch well yesterday. He hasn't won a game since his first start of the season. And, he's 1-5 with an ERA over 5 right now. And, I thought that it was a good signing for the Mets when they did sign him for a 2-year deal. I still think it was a good signing. Just want to kind of get your thoughts on R.A. Dickey and his struggles right now.
Yeah, I mean, that dream season that he had last year, that's gone, totally gone. And he is more than 12% through that new contract that he signed already. Mm-hmm. So, the good thing is that this year he's making less than $3 million. I think it's 2.75.
Okay.
So it's not a huge amount of money that he's making, but still, I mean, he's not doing at all what they would expect. I would say he's looking more like a fifth starter this year, where he can stay in the game, not get totally destroyed like an Oliver Perez would be, and where the team was just out of the game totally in the first 2 innings.
Mm-hmm.
So he can stay in there and get you through 5 or 6 innings, although he's not really doing a good job of keeping the Mets in the game. So I'm starting to wonder, do you think he might be a trade candidate at midseason? He's got a relatively low contract, and he's a guy, if somebody's looking for a fifth starter, maybe he might be a trade candidate now as well, because he's certainly not doing what they expected when they signed that deal with him.
Right. And, I never expected him to be a number 1 or a number 2, but, if he has a good year, he should be a 3 or a 4, at least in my eyes. And it is a little disappointing so far that he is off to such a bad start this year. And, you look at the Mets pitching staff as a whole, they don't have a number 1 or a number 2 on this staff at all. And
No.
it is just very difficult to win games and be consistent and be more than a 500 team when you really don't have any front end of the rotation guys at all.
Well, they sort of did with Chris Young, but he's gone now.
Yeah, you can't even count him anymore.
No.
Yeah. So switching gears a little bit, talking about, speaking of injuries, obviously Ike Davis is out right now, 15-day DL. Daniel Murphy's playing first base. You probably know that I'm not the biggest Daniel Murphy fan, but I give the guy credit where credit is due. I think he's a good hitter, and I think that, over the last few weeks, he has shown some improvement defensively at second base, and I'm just wondering how, him playing first base while Ike Davis is out is going to impact his development defensively at second base. And I don't know, any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure about that because, I don't think defense is ever going to be his specialty or his forte as it is. I think I think the arc of his career is most likely going to be that he's going to be doing a lot of moving around to different positions of whether it's the Mets or somebody else in the future, trying to find a way to get his bat in the lineup. And he's definitely not going to be a first baseman. That's for sure. I mean, he's on pace right now for 12 home runs this year.
Well, he led the team in home runs a couple years ago, right?
Yeah, with 12, exactly. And that seems to be about his pace. Hey, and that's fine, and as a second baseman, that you'll take that for sure. A guy who can hit 300 with 12 home runs, you'll take that at second base, but not at first. So I don't know about his defense. I think he's always going to be struggling to find a position in the field where you can keep him in the lineup.
Right. And lastly, want to ask you about Carlos Beltran. Have been having some good conversations on my Facebook fan page about this, and the guys on SNY brought this up the other night. Beltran is playing really well right now. He's hitting the ball, even though he's out with this eye thing he took yesterday off. He's showing that he is healthy and that he can play every day, which to me is the biggest surprise of the Mets season so far, how many games Beltran has played. And I think it's a good question to ask. His trade value probably isn't going to get any higher than it is right now. Should the Mets be looking to move him now instead of waiting, until June or July. What are your thoughts on that? Especially, one team that the guys on SNY brought up, Mets fans aren't going to want to hear this, is the Yankees. Posada struggling at the DH. They need help in their corner outfield positions. They can probably, if any team can eat most of Beltran's last year of his contract, it is the Yankees. What are your thoughts on this?
I think that the market is going to be very, very limited. I agree that his trade value would probably never be higher after single-handedly winning that game in Colorado with 3 home runs. But like you brought up, the problem is going to be, I think the Mets owe him, they still owe him about $14 million for this year, because he's only gotten, I think, 3 paychecks so far. And so he's, I think the Mets have only paid him about $4.5 million this year. So the issue is going to be the money that he's owed. There's not going to be a lot of teams that are going to take on another $14 million this early in the season. Right. So the Yankees and probably nobody else would be what the market's going to be for him. So, and the problem also is going to be, if you're going to ask anybody to pick up the whole rest of his salary, the Mets are going to get nothing in return for him. So
right.
That's going to be the issue, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. He's definitely one of those guys that I guess we're going to hear about throughout the summer here, about his trade value and, where he's going to end up and stuff like that. So, I thought it was just an interesting question to kind of throw out there. And it'll be interesting to see what the Mets do, whether they'll wait and see if somehow they can make a push here and stay in the wild card hunt, or if they just start unloading players.
Yeah, I think there's no doubt that they want to get rid of Beltran and K-Rod probably as fast as they possibly can. Mm-hmm. And probably thinking Reyes before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I don't. That one makes me cringe, but
oh, I know, me too. He's my favorite player to watch on that team.
Yeah. Well, hey, Dave, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes this weekend and doing this chat. For those out there watching, you can catch Dave and I doing these weekly chats every Sunday or Monday, and look out next weekend with the Yankees series. We're going to be trying to do a live Ustream either before or after one of the games. So just keep in touch with us, and we'll let you know the details on that. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.